On a remote Pacific island lives a mysterious snake that is more toxic than the king cobra. Now, for the first time, a scientist will explore the snake's underwater world to study its deadly venom firsthand. He will discover places never seen before and behavior to baffle the scientific world. This amphibious reptile could kill a human with a single bite. Yet the 1,700 locals live peacefully with their abundant neighbor. And to this day, the islanders honor the legends of their sacred creature. When heavy seas batter the island, locals believe the mighty gods of the southern seas have risen in anger. The snakes are the sea gods' messengers. When they emerge in unusual places, it's a warning. Ignore the warning to respect the sea's creatures, and the gods will retaliate without mercy. Respect must be paid, and the gods' messengers are sent out in force. Legends of snakes and their mythical powers are deeply embedded in the Polynesian world. Here on Niue Island, the people call their sea snake Katuali, and this mysterious creature is found nowhere else on Earth. The Katuali is a member of a very exclusive family, the 5 sea snake species known as sea kraits. The Niue sea krait is the most elusive. Of the 70 known sea snakes, only the sea kraits live in water and on land. Niue Island is a small Pacific state of 260 square kilometers. Surrounded by coral reefs, it towers 70 meters above the deep blue sea. Tucked away in the southern corner of the vast Pacific Ocean, Niue lies almost 4,000 kilometers east of Australia. How the snake's ancestor first reached these remote shores is unknown, but it has evolved into the most isolated sea snake in the world. Its favorite sites, the scientists explore its breathtaking home. The surprisingly placid animals don't seem to mind Brian's first approaches. The experts notice the high number of mature females cruising the reef, and the reason soon becomes obvious. Mid-year is believed to be the time Katualis lay their eggs, and Brian hopes to discover their secret nursery. Sea kraits are unusual because all other marine snakes bear live young. The snakes search for a safe nesting place, search for a safe nesting place. The snake's decisive motion is the only guide through the enclosing darkness. Deep under the island, they reach a major chamber. Here, the snakes seem to have found their sought-after destination, the secret place where the sea god's messengers begin life. A bubble cave opens like an ancient cathedral.
Oh, wow. This is phenomenal.
Misty waves of compressing air sweep through with a roar. A warning to respect this sacred place. Dr. Fry finds snakes at rest, clearly exposed. This hidden cave provides a perfect nursery. The females have to lay their clutches above the watermark, as only dry eggs will survive the incubation time. They reach for gaps high up in the cave. Once she has found a dry shelter, she rests to regain her strength for labor. It's time for the scientists to leave the females undisturbed. Within days, the snakes lay their eggs. This small clutch of 4 soft-shelled eggs is the first seen in the wild. No snake in the world mothers its young after they are born. The safety of the cave is the only protection they will ever have. Niue's limestone island is made entirely of coral skeletons and forms one of the world's largest coral atolls. Commonly called the Rock of Polynesia, Niue is ideal territory for sea snakes and snake enthusiasts like Brian Fry.
Ever since I was a little kid, I've always been fascinated by snakes. My mother was the poor, classic, tormented mother who had to always be very careful going into my room or even doing my laundry. Basically, if it's venomous, I like it.
To get up close to his irresistible quarry, Brian needs to catch the slippery reptile by hand.
With the true sea snakes and the sea kraits, there's a great myth that's abounded, that they have tiny little fangs and that the only place they can bite you is between the fingers. This is completely false. They've got very sharp fangs. They're quite long enough to kill an eel, so obviously it can bite you on the arm with no problem. Any species of sea krait will be on average more toxic than a species of cobra. So
amazingly, the Katuali is not known to have bitten anyone yet. But Dr. Fry must continue his search with great caution. At the southern end of the island, currents can change with treacherous power. According to legend, this is the home of the sea gods. The main chasm is called Snake Gully. Typically, sea snakes are not known to gather in big numbers. But here in Snake Gully, virtually every pocket is packed with balls of snakes. Never before recorded by scientists, the reasons for these underwater aggregations are still unclear. Why do the Niue sea kraits come together and squeeze into every little gap? They might have some form of social communication, but it seems more likely that the packs are formed for safety. Perhaps they are anchoring themselves to the reef to hold on against the strong currents while sleeping. Scientists remain,
why they go there and when they go there.
but they do know that underwater, snakes never sleep for very long. They're lung breathers, and depending on how active they are, need to frequently surface for air. Every 20 to 60 minutes, each snake has to rise for a fresh breath. The constant movement leads to a pattern local divers call the curtain of snakes. Sea snakes are exceptional divers. Rather than two parallel lungs, they have developed one long tube-like lung fitting perfectly within their slender bodies. At the surface, it only takes a few quick breaths, and their oxygen capacity is fully restored for the next deep dive. Humans have to carefully adjust to changing water pressure. And as a rule, divers shouldn't ascend faster than their slowest air bubbles rise. For a sea snake, that's a very leisurely pace. And, as Brian is about to find out, Katualis are very strong swimmers, their muscular bodies powered by a specially adapted, paddle-shaped tail.
One of the things I've noticed about the Niuean sea kite versus some of the other sea kites is that it's a much more robust animal. It's not as long as some of the other species, but it's much heavier built and much, much faster in the water. In fact, these things are actually quite hard to keep up with while in scuba. You have to swim as hard as you can to catch one of these guys when they're at full tilt, or even just to stay ahead of it. Diving with a snake is just an absolute blast. You're chasing them through tunnels, you're going upside down, you're standing on your head. So it's just this whirlpool of activity. To me, Niue is basically the lost Eden. First off, because I like snakes, and there's just thousands of snakes here for me to play with. And secondly, as a mad diver, I love new adventures, and the visibility here is just spectacular. The kind of visibility that you would never get anywhere else.
Niue's pristine blue gardens have been preserved for thousands of years. Today, most creatures, including the Katuali, are protected. In traditional law, it is taboo to exploit marine life, and fish are only taken for food. Charlene have to cross the Katuali's path almost every day.
The snake is powerful. And whenever I feel, I look on level I feel, I will normally say to the Katuali, I come here especially to fish for me and my family. So please, Katuali, you go your way and I will go my way. With the Katuali and the sea gods. The legend goes on that if the ladies from the eastern side decides to come to the western side of the island by sea, and if the Katuali somehow catch that lady, and he will try to make the Katuali doesn't use up all his power, then that lady will escape. To me, Katuali has special powers. Other people in the island think so too. And most of the people, they don't want to interfere with the Katuali. We respect.
Coral gardens are large feeding grounds, and most residents live on a highly specialized diet. Katualis are believed to feed on small, mostly bottom-dwelling fish. All sea snakes have good eyesight, but it seems their vision plays little part in the hunt. To find their prey, they rely on their amazing sense of smell. With their flicking tongue, they taste and identify tiny scent particles in water and air. And they can detect small currents caused by the movement of fish. Their tongue acts like a radar to detect the hiding prey. The reef is crisscrossed with fresh trails of scent, and the snake can follow them with deadly precision. The snake swiftly corners its prey, wrapping its body around the hideout to block any escape. Its venomous bite paralyzes the muscles, killing the victim rapidly. With no limbs to grasp or kill its catch, venom is crucial to this snake's survival. With one big meal in their belly, they can last for weeks, even months. Dr. Fry has been tracking the snakes for weeks. Now he is ready to collect animals from the deep end.
As a general rule, whenever I'm working with a venomous snake, I try to take as many safety precautions as possible. Not only because I'm working with an animal that's potentially deadly, but they seem to be a bit more aggressive than some of the other species of sea kite that I've worked with. After a couple encounters where I've looked down and have found one chewing merrily upon my hand, I've been quite glad that I've been wearing the gloves.
Any bite could be fatal until Brian can test an anti-venin. Only mature animals will give sufficient venom samples, and Dr. Fry needs plenty. His research might one day lead to breakthroughs in medicine to treat diseases like epilepsy or leukemia. Brian needs to make sure the snakes surface before they run out of air. A balloon is all it takes to float them up, so he can continue to catch snakes and later milk their venom.
With a Niuean sea kite, on one dive in a half hour, you might collect 50 or 60 snakes and not collect another 200 snakes that you saw on the same dive. So I've seen more sea kites here than I have in my entire life. Already, the hatchlings are fully equipped with their sense of smell and a pair of venomous fangs. Body coordination will come with practice.
From their first sniff of air, the youngsters are completely self-reliant. Instinctively, they retrace their mother's route through the darkness. Mortality can be very high. In some sea snake species, only 10% of the hatchlings will survive their first year. Even for a toxic predator, life is a constant struggle to eat, but not be eaten. Some reef sharks hunt snakes and seem immune to their venom. Some sweetlips, gropers, and deep-sea fish will also devour them. But the Katuali's biggest threat lurks in the crevices. Moray eels might not actively hunt snakes, but they will attack anything when provoked. To overcome an aggressor of this size, the snake needs to counter with an extremely potent venom. But only the lucky ones get away in a flash or with broken bones. One unique key to the sea crate's survival lies hidden in these walls. Here, sea crates can do what no other sea snake can: leave the water for dry land. They are remarkable climbers. Their large belly scales equip them to grab hold of and push against the surface while slithering forwards. They are one of few marine snakes to have kept the broad belly scales from their common ancestor, the land snake. Outside the water, the sea crate can preserve energy and warm up. In a sheltered gap, it can rest, digest, and enjoy an undisturbed sleep in fresh air. But not all day-active animals are sleeping. The snake's frequent need for fresh air keeps them moving. Nighttime offers an advantage for the Katuali's hunting trips. With many of its prey asleep, it has a better chance to strike unexpectedly. Any easy meal is gulped down quickly. Afterwards, the snakes are often seen stretching and readjusting their jaws for the next catch. But night also holds its dangers for snakes. Up on the rocks, a constantly hungry predator waits. Striking in a flash, this hardy scavenger isn't threatened by the serpent's deadly bite. The Katuali's death is long and painful. The mercy of swiftly killing venom isn't granted to the snake. Dr. Fry has collected animals from all around Niue. Now he has to tackle the most risky part of his research: the milking of the snakes.
When I handle them with bare hands, I feel quite comfortable about it, just simply because I've worked with so many snakes and I have a vast experience with different types of snakes. That said, I've also had more than my fair share of snake bites as a result of my work, since I milk on average 300 to 500 snakes a year. But there's always a little bit of sort of caution in the background, because you're working with an inherently dangerous animal. No matter how placid it is, you might have that 1 in 1,000 that's having a very bad day, and all it takes is one bite for things to go dramatically wrong.
The sea crate's fangs are relatively short, yet they yield an impressive dose of its dreaded weapon.
That's a lot of venom.
Both needle-like injection teeth are supplied by a central canal coming from the venom-producing glands along the snake's upper jaws. They also hold replacement fangs, ready for use in case the main ones become broken or lost.
There's only one antivenom made in the world for sea snakes, and one part of the research will be to determine if the antivenom works. It's certainly never been tested against this species. And then we'll also fully investigate the mode of action of the venom. What part of the body does it hit, and how potently does it hit it? All of this can tell us tremendous things, not just about the venom, but also how different the Niuean sea kite is from some of the other sea kites.
From our forefathers. When I was a kid, I was afraid of them. But when I grow up with the
Only beginning to understand the snake's complex nature. Back home in his laboratory at the Australian Venom Research Unit, Dr. Fry has been comparing the venom of the Niue sea crate to that of other serpents of the land and sea. His tests have now begun to understand the mysterious Katuali. And again, the snakes surprise with bizarre behavior. It's the beginning of Niue's dry season. And the snakes are about to engage in their high season. The tropical waters have reached their annual peak of 30 degrees Celsius, and the serpents suddenly become very inquisitive. Caravans of excited katualis start checking out whatever moves. Curiously, they display an obvious fondness for anything bright blue. Yet once they realize it's lifeless, their search resumes for something both blue and moving. Amazingly, to become an object of katuali desire, it has to be bright blue. Given that most of their environment is that color, it's a puzzling choice. After the first excited days, the snakes start to shadow predator fish, and more players join in. The katuali's behavior is baffling. These are the first ever images of their remarkable formations. When the whirlwind meetings come to a halt, the snakes wrap themselves around the coral in a frenzy, possibly searching for food. It's plausible these caravans are triggered by a mutual hunt for seasonal prey. But could they also be the means for a stimulated katuali to find its mating partner? Now the first couples show obvious interest in each other. The often smaller male starts checking the female for sexual hormones, which signal her readiness to mate. If both are smitten, they sneak away to tie their snake knot in private. For the next few weeks, caravans of love will turn Niue's blue gardens into a whirling sea of snakes. And as long as respect is paid to this unique creature, the sea gods of Niue will be satisfied.